Hey guys, welcome to another NerdCrave pickups video. Over the holidays, I've picked up some really cool stuff. Some Christmas presents, one from Kaz here. Thanks for coming on, by the way, Kaz.
You're welcome.
And I bought myself a couple of Christmas presents, and I've got a couple other things just along the way since the last video I did about, I guess it's been probably a month and a half, 2 months now, eh?
It's been a couple of months, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of other stuff, so there is a bit of stuff to catch up on, so let's get right to it.
Awesome. Well, let's take a look at the first one here.
All right.
What do we get?
All right, so we've got, now this is interesting. This is Shantae and the Seven Sirens. This is a limited run game, and I have never actually bought a limited run game directly from Limited Run. I bought a couple used here and there.
Tell me a little bit about Shantae, though, because I've actually never played it. I've barely heard about it.
Well, Shantae is technically a Metroidvania, at least that's the way everybody refers to it.
Okay.
It doesn't really feel like a Metroidvania. It feels like a platformer that's maybe a little more difficult, but it's got really good... they're known for having like really good like hit detection and really like fast paced and really good platforming. I guess the reason why they call it a Metroidvania is because you kind of have to go back and forth through the level.
You're kind of all around the map, just like in Metroid or Castlevania.
You gain new powers and then you can unlock new areas and stuff. So
I actually really like that style of game. It's a lot of fun. Personally,
never would have thought to call it a Metroidvania until someone else said it repeatedly, but I guess there it is. So what have we got next?
I think you got a bit of an announcement here.
Yeah, well, this is interesting. I came across this Magic's Music Maker. Now, I don't really know where this came from. I can't even find this listed in GameEye.
Really?
Like, as soon as I scanned it, it says, go to the website and try to add it or whatever. I've done a little bit of digging around. I have seen copies on Google and stuff.
So it's just, what is it, a music maker? You can make your own music with it? Or
basically like a DJ simulation, more or less. It comes loaded with all kinds of samples and loops and music tracks and sound effects and little video clips and stuff, so you can make like music videos or animations or whatever. But what I've really decided to do here, and this is my new project for 2021, and for the first 2 or 3 months here, I'm going to really get into this game on the PlayStation 2, and I'm going to see if I can compose all of the music for my channel here.
And you do actually have a bit of a background in music too, don't you? From back before my days.
Well, I mean, I did have a band as a teenager and stuff. I mean, I think
more than me. That's for sure.
I think I have like enough of a sensibility that I can put some stuff together that sounds pretty good. But this really interests me, and it seems really cool if I could compose the music that I use on a daily basis on the channel.
That'd be awesome.
Because I'm actually having a hard time really finding music that I like for free out there, and dealing with kind of all the stuff that comes with, if you use video game music in the wrong context, you can get copyright strikes. I've had several videos that have been copyright claimed or whatever from music and stuff like that. So, and I've used some of that free YouTube music, and I know there are other services out there you can subscribe to buy music, but I think I'd rather make my own music, so we'll see how that goes over the next couple of months. What do we got next? Oh, okay. So, I've been dying. I've only had my Xbox One for, about 4 months, maybe?
Something like that.
3 or 4 months, and I have Game Pass, and I love Game Pass, but Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 2, the two remakes, are not on Game Pass, as of yet, anyway.
Okay.
And I've been looking, I do like Resident Evil games, but I've been looking for something that's relatively, modern, to play with Cousin Mike.
Yeah.
Other than Call of Duty, because I'm getting really sick of playing Call of Duty over and over and over again.
Yeah,
so
you can only do free-for-all so many times.
I'm actually waiting. This is still sealed. I just picked it up a couple days ago. But I'm waiting for Chris at Iceman to get me Resident Evil 2 Remake, because I'd kind of like to play them in order. And I've also got Crash Bandicoot 4 on hold, so I'll be picking both of those up hopefully next week.
That'll be fun.
I guess they'll be in the next pickups video.
Nice.
Alright, what do we got? Okay, there's a story with
There
this.
actually is. So Aaron here, he was telling me about this really cool GameCube game. He saw it at the game store, the local game store, and we're in a small little town, right? So you don't really see big, rare games. And I don't know how big and rare this is. I have no real context, but he talked about it. And I was like, well, he says it's pretty rare. So I'm like, I'm going to go pick that up, and that's going to be his Christmas present this year.
Yeah.
So this is what I got for him, Rave Master.
So this game, we actually plugged it in and tried it. I didn't know a lot about the game. I just knew that it was pretty uncommon, and I had really never seen it in the wild. But it's not a hugely expensive game, but we've discovered that this is a kind of a hidden gem.
Yeah, it was actually pretty interesting. It's sort of a 3D fighting game, almost in the vein of Pokken tournament type idea, or Tekken, I think.
It's a 3D fighter, but it has a lot of interesting mechanics where, first of all, like, it's got a story mode that actually has a story, unlike a lot of fighting games. And it's kind of funny, almost shocking. We picked the girl, and her story was she was getting revenge because somebody took pictures of her while she was in the bathtub or something. Only in Japan, right? But there's a really interesting mechanic where when you're on the kind of arena-style fighting thing, they're dropping all kinds of like weapons and power-ups, and
you can like pick up to 3 or something, and there's like 3 different colors, red, blue, and yellow. You get 1 of each, and
yeah,
it was really interesting.
It's really like, it almost reminds me of like blending a pretty typical fighting game with almost like Smash Brothers type idea too, kind of in a way. I don't know, but I would really say it's a hidden gem. If you can find this game, it's not super expensive, but as far as I know, it's pretty uncommon. I really don't hear people talking about it at all.
Yeah, and honestly, the graphics weren't too bad either, especially being GameCube.
Yeah.
They were actually pretty decent. Like, sure, they looked a little chunky, but not bad, especially for the era. So.
Yeah. What do we got next?
This is a game you were telling me about.
Yeah, okay, so there's a story with this, too. I was shopping for Kaz's Christmas present, and I actually bought this for Kaz. This is Printy 1 and 2. Printy is a character out of the Disgaea series, and these 2 games were originally on the Sony PSP. I bought this originally for Zach because I thought it was pretty cool, and then upon reflection I realized he probably has no frame of reference.
I have
for
absolutely no idea what
And you're not really a big platformer guy, are you?
Not super big. I mean, I enjoy the odd Mario
Odyssey or something. See, I thought this was cool, and I really bought this for me.
Yeah.
So I ended up keeping it and buying him something else. So Merry Christmas to me, I guess. Now, these next 3 games here I just picked up, and this was really my big Christmas present to myself. I did not get any insane deals on these. I paid market value. I mean, I did get a bit of a good deal. Definitely some pretty good prices compared to what you would find on eBay, but it's not like I picked these up at Value Village for $3 or whatever.
Yeah.
I spent some money on these. So everybody's been telling me Octopath Traveler is one of the best 2 or 3 JRPGs on the Switch. And, I played it for about half an hour last night just to kind of get an idea. This is obviously the big box collector's edition. There's like a really cool flip-up kind of diorama book with like 8 different dioramas or whatever in it, which is really neat. A soundtrack, some kind of, like a cloth poster, I think, is in there, or like a map or something.
That's really cool.
It's a pretty nice presentation. I did have to pay kind of out the wazoo for this, but I figured if I was going to buy the game, I might as well
get the big collector's edition.
Get the nice
being
one.
The collector you are.
Yeah. My theory with Switch games is basically I buy everything digital that doesn't really matter too much from a collector's standpoint, and anything like this that I think that way I spend a little bit more money on the physical stuff because it's kind of collectible, right?
Yeah, and then you can save some money when you buy digital.
So my thoughts on this game, only having played it for maybe 45 minutes last night, the graphics are absolutely stunning.
They're gorgeous. I love how they like mixed and blended that like 2D pixel art with those like 3D layers for walking around town.
Yeah, like it's got
beautiful.
the depth of 3D, and it's got like some really awesome lighting effects. That really blew me away. Like you've got that 16-bit look, but they made it a clean, modern 16-bit look with some really nice lighting and 3D. The whole thing looks kind of like a diorama. Like, it's really nice. So I'm super excited to own this. What have we got next?
Another really interesting looking package here.
Okay, so I've been hearing a lot positive and negative about this. This is Little Dragon's Cafe, and again, this is the collector's edition. I didn't have to pay too much for this. I was actually pretty happy with the price. But one of my favorite YouTubers, Isha Gaming, really highly recommends this game. She said she had a great time with it. She said, the graphics were really nice, and the gameplay was really, I really like those kind of peaceful, non-combat games where you just kind of simulate life simulators and stuff like that. In this game, you run a little cafe. You serve your customers. You go out looking for materials, kind of similar to Breath of the Wild, where you pick up materials in the forest and then you go back to the cafe and combine different crafting elements for cooking and stuff like that. And all along there's a story about the dragon, and you're given a baby dragon to take care of, and you have to raise the dragon, and then eventually it gets really big and you can ride the dragon and fly around.
So how do you train your dragon?
I haven't got that far yet. However, I played this game for about an hour last night, and although I do like the concept of the game, and I like the kind of instant gratification that's set up with, answering quests and getting rewards and stuff like that. Like
it's kind of like your Facebook game style that you've always been looking for, and you haven't been able to gratify that so much.
But the downside is I really feel like the actual gameplay mechanics in terms of walking around in the world and picking things up and stuff, like it's even like you run when you push the analog button, and if you want to slow down and walk, you actually have to hold a modifier key to slow down. Instead of just having analog control on the stick to like press forward to run and pull back a little bit to walk. Oh no, you gotta like hold the L key. Yeah, it's really weird. Like you have to hold that modifier key. You have to kind of hold the button and the analog stick in order to walk, which is kind of weird. And like there's some weird issues with like edge detection and stuff where you bump up against walls that aren't really there, as if almost like the graphics were overlaid on like a geometric grid that doesn't quite match or something. So you're running into invisible walls that you can't get through, and something that looks like you should be able to go between two bushes and you can't. You got to go around the long way and stuff like that. So I don't know if I'm going to play the game all the way through, but I am interested enough to give it a good shot and maybe overlook those mechanics.
Alright, well, looks like we've got one last thing here, which is really interesting. I'm definitely stealing at least the game at some point.
Alright, so this is another collector's edition that I have been looking for a while. I have a couple of Fire Emblem games, but I haven't actually played any of them yet. I've been trying to get into... I've never really played a strategy JRPG. I tried about a month ago to play Final Fantasy Tactics on the PSP, which, from a historical perspective, I really want to play that game, but I couldn't figure it out. Like, there was no tutorial or anything. I guess it's just for more advanced users. So this is Fire Emblem Echoes Shadow of Valentia, the Collector's Edition, and this is a remake, I believe, of the second Famicom game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because it was never translated to English.
Exactly.
So finally did with that.
When it came out on the 3DS, I guess it came out about 3 or 4 years ago, right at the end of the 3DS lifespan, and
it really would have been that long ago now, eh? Wow.
Yeah. I think it came out like the year the Switch came out, if I remember correctly, when they were still making a couple last games for the 3DS. But Johnny from Happy Console Gamer made a video about this 3 years ago when he got his hands on it when it came out, and he was really excited for this game, and it kind of got me excited for it, and I've been casually looking for this game ever since. I came across a copy of this, the nice collector's edition when I was living in Edmonton, and it was $125, and I thought, I can probably find it cheaper somewhere. So I let it sit there, and I went back a couple weeks later to see if it was still there because I decided to pay the money, but it was gone. And ever since then, I've been looking for another one of these. So what do I think of the game? I started playing it today. I've never really played a strategy RPG before, but I got through the first kind of prologue of the game, and there really is a good tutorial. Like, it shows you what you're supposed to do, and it actually really reminds me of playing those old kind of RTS, real-time strategy games back on the computer back in the old days, like Civilization or Command and Conquer, things like that. Like, you didn't necessarily have the grid, but like, I understand what I'm supposed to do now with this game in terms of positioning units and positioning weaker units farther away from the enemy and putting your strong guy up close. It actually makes sense. So I really think I'm going to go through this. And the graphics for the 3DS, like, I love my 3DS, don't get me wrong, but the graphics are not the strongest thing about the 3DS.
No,
however,
Fire Emblem has always done a good job with graphics.
This game is gorgeous. Like, the animation work, there's a ton of story you gotta click through. Like, they actually have a setting where you can just click it to autoplay all the cutscenes, so you don't have to keep mashing A for every sentence that pops up. And, like, I mean, the cutscenes were, like, just non-stop, or 45 minutes. I think I actually played the game for about 5 minutes.
Did you happen to notice that they're voice acted in this?
Fully voice acted.
Because, yeah, I know in a lot of the more current Fire Emblem games, they're all voice acted.
And the voice acting was fantastic, too. Like, it's really good. The story's fantastic. I really care about the characters, and I'm only, like, an hour into the game, and I already really care about the characters. The setup was cool. So I'm pretty excited to go through this game and see if I can actually learn to play these strategy RPGs.
You will not be disappointed. The stories in these are wonderful, and even if you're not as good at them, you can always play casual mode, which I think you told me earlier you are.
Yeah.
And so you don't lose your units, whereas typically in Fire Emblem games, if they die in battle, they're dead for the game. You can't use them anymore, which is...
I have a couple other Fire Emblem games that I've kind of been nervous to try, just because the whole, the community really thinks of Fire Emblem games as pretty tough games. So I have the Fire Emblem game on the Wii, I have Fire Emblem Awakening, I think it is, on the 3DS that I haven't really tried. I have Fire Emblem Three Houses for the Switch, which, I've been wanting to try, and apparently that's one of the more approachable Fire Emblem games from what I hear in terms of difficulty. So, this is definitely a good starting place for me. If I can get a good way into this game and really enjoy it, then I think I'll start biting off kind of bigger and bigger games. So anyways, guys, that's it for the games that I have here today, but please let me know in the comments, what did you think of some of these games? If you've played them, please sound off in the comments and let me know which ones are your favorites, which ones you really think are worth investing my time in.
And what did you guys get for Christmas? Let us know down below too, and let us know what else we should be on the lookout for.
Yeah, absolutely, because I'm always looking for, especially those gems on the Switch right now. The Switch and the 3DS are arguably my favorite two consoles of all time at this point. Like, 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said the PS2, but Nintendo handhelds have really changed my mind. I used to hate handheld gaming, but now I barely touch anything on the TV. I play my 3DS, I play my Switch Lite, and that's it.
Yeah, so. Alright, well, thanks for having me, and this was fun.
Thanks for coming on. Alright, stay classy, guys.